On July 20th, 1944, just 6 weeks after D-Day, there was an attempt to assassinate Hitler that almost succeeded. An officer smuggled into or brought into a meeting with Hitler a suitcase loaded with explosives and placed it under the table. The bomb went off. It injured Hitler. He no longer could use one of his arms, and it caused his eardrums to be perforated, but didn't kill him, and fell far short of killing him. After the assassination attempt, the conspirators were rounded up by the Nazis and executed, and it became clear that the conspiracy was rather far-flung. I've just finished reading a book by Bill Casey, who went on to become the director of the CIA, that was called The Secret War Against Hitler. And in it he says that the United States and Britain way underestimated the severity of the plot to kill Hitler, that apparently this was not just a few people who were acting alone, which is basically what Goebbels put out as Nazi propaganda and what the U.S., Roosevelt and Churchill both bought, but apparently a very far-reaching conspiracy that reached into every single aspect of the German military establishment. Casey at the time was one of the leaders of OSS, the CIA operating during World War II. And he said that not only was Rommel, the general, involved, but that the details of the plot had been run by all of the top German generals in the Western Front and the Italian Front, and most had signed on to it. And even those that hadn't signed on to it did not turn them in, and the plot proceeded and ultimately failed. And Casey posits that had the U.S. taken this seriously, and had Britain taken it seriously, and understood that the Wehrmacht, the German army, was on the verge of rebelling against the government before it was then put down by the SS and the Gestapo, that we could very possibly have ended the war then and there, created conditions for a coup against Hitler. He says that the reason this was not pursued, and as well as other initiatives he identifies as things that could have ended the war early, was because Roosevelt and Churchill, Roosevelt more than Churchill, were committed to the doctrine of unconditional surrender, and that they hewed to that largely under pressure from Russia that still had very significant German forces on its territory. And Russia was worried that the U.S. and Britain would make a separate peace and leave Germany and Russia to fight it out. And Roosevelt was determined not to do that, but to honor our commitment to Russia. And as a result, we did not seriously follow up those initiatives. We treated the assassination attempt as just a failed attempt not worthy of further notice. And Casey said we missed an enormous opportunity. Now, coming from a historian hypothesizing about events, that might be worth reading. But coming from the director of one of the major directors of the OSS in Europe, who later went on to become head of the American CIA, it's a claim really worth taking seriously. So you can still order this book on Amazon. It's called The Secret War Against Hitler. Give it a read. Thanks.